Okay. Today lesson is acid deposition. This lesson or this lecture was conducted for the chemical students only. Therefore, I thought to record this lecture and upload it into the Moodle for polymer students. Acid deposition. So you may have heard about acid rain. Okay. Acid rain is a regional problem, and greenhouse gas effect is a global problem. Formation of photochemical smoke is a local problem, but acid deposition is a regional problem because due to the wind turbulence, acidic particles can be cross boundaries of country, so it cannot be happen into a specific place. So when we talk about acid rain, we know the normal rainwater is always slightly acidic because carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere get dissolved in the rainwater. So carbon dioxide is get dissolved in the rainwater as carbonic acid, H2CO3. So all of you know this carbonic acid is a weak acid. So because of the presence of CO2, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, because of its slightly dissolved in nature in the water, the normal rainwater has acidity around 4.6. And when you refer some textbooks, some literature, you can find it is around 4.5 also. But okay. So if the rainwater has a pH value less than the value of normal rainwater, less than the pH of the normal rainwater, it is called as an acid rain, because sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide gases as pollutant in atmosphere can be dissolved in the rainwater. The pH of rain can be further lower to as 2.4, and this type of precipitation is called as acid rain. But you can assume if the pH value is below 5.6, they are called as acid rain because normal rainwater has 5.6. Acid rain is a combination of sulfuric acid, HNO3, nitric acid, and hydrochloric acid. Okay, now in your handout, you can find acid rain, the precipitation that has a pH of less than that of natural rainwater is called as a acid rain. Then acid rain is a broad term used to describe several ways. We used to say acid rain, but actually acid rains are available as wet deposition and dry deposition. The more precise term is the acid deposition. So the main chemical precursors or the main source of acid rains leading to acidic conditions are atmospheric concentration of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide. So SO2 and NOxes are responsible for the formation of acid rain. Precursors. Okay, precursors mean who are the responsible, what are the sources. Then so SOxes and NOxes are result from both natural sources and also from anthropogenic sources. So as example, we can say natural sources are volcanoes and decaying vegetation emit SOxes and NOxes. Then when we talk about the man-made sources, the mainly power generation sector responsible for the emission of SOxes and NOxes. So power generation sector, when you talk about power generation sector, you can say renewable energy, hydropower plant, solar power plant, wind power plant, they are not responsible because they do not emit carbon dioxide and other gases. The fossil fuel power plant, emit SOxes and NOxes. sulfur may be available as an impurity, and during the combustion process, thermal noxes and fuel noxes are emitted. So major culprit is the coal-fired power plants. The coal-fired power plants are the major culprit for the acid deposition because sulfur is available as an impurity, and also during the combustion process thermal noxes are emitted, nitrogen dioxide is emitted, and fuel noxes are emitted because nitrogen may be available as an impurity during the combustion process. NO2 is emitted. Then oil refineries are also responsible for the emission of SOxes and NOxes. So during the oil refinery process, H2S is emitted. So there are hydrotreating units of gasoline and diesel, gas oil and kerosene. So sulfur is available in those. Sulfur is available in crude oil. Then they are during the refining process, those sulfur compounds are available in the gas oil, gasoline, and also kerosene, and in other compounds. So vehicle engines, the engine of the vehicles are not suitable to operate with fuel containing high sulfur. Therefore, in upstream process, the sulfur is removed from the fuel oil. Sulfur is removed from the fuel oil. Because of that, sulfur can be emitted as H2S during the process. Then this H2S, hydrogen sulfide gas, is sent to a incinerator to convert into CSO2. So during the incineration process, the hydrogen sulfide is converted to SO2. Therefore, oil refineries are also responsible for the emission of SOxes and also for the NOxes. Then transportation sector. The vehicles also emit SOxes and NOxes because uh, the fuel contains sulfur. Fuel contains sulfur. During the combustion process, sulfur is emitted as SOxes, is sulfur dioxide. Then during the combustion process, nitrogen also emitted. NOxes can be emitted. When we talk about the main sources or main precursors of acid deposition are the coal-fired power plants, oil refineries, and the transportation, that mean vehicles. Okay, acid deposition occurs when these gases in the atmosphere react with the water and the oxygen and other chemicals to form various acidic compounds. So all of you know, when SO2 react with H2O, sulfuric acid is formed. Then when NO2 react with H2O and other compounds, HNO3 is formed. Then if there are Cl2, then it is react with H2O, water vapor, and converted into hydrochloric acid. And CO2 is also responsible for the acidity. It produces carbonic acid. So we can categorize acid deposition as wet deposition and dry deposition. But let's see what is wet deposition. Wet deposition refers to the process by which acid particles are scavenged by cloud, fog droplets, rain and snow, and subsequently deposited on the Earth's surface. Then wet deposition, simply we can say acid rain, the process by which acids with the pH normally below 5.6 are removed from the atmosphere in rain, snow, sleet or hail. So wet deposition is formed when sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide as gases or fine particles in the atmosphere combine with water vapor and precipitate into the surface as sulfuric acid or nitric acid with rain, snow, fog, sleet or hail. Then let's see what is dry deposition. Dry deposition refers to the process that acidic gases and particles are transported from the atmosphere to surface in the absence of precipitation. Absence of precipitation with rain, fog and hail and sleet. Okay. Dry deposition take place when the particles such as fly ash, sulfate, nitrate and gases, that means SO2 and NO2, are deposited on or absorbed onto surfaces. Then the gas can be converted into acids when they contact water. Okay, so the wind is responsible for that. Wind blow these particles and gases onto the buildings, vehicles and trees. So dry deposition depends on the turbulence of atmosphere, nature of the receiving surface and the chemical properties of the receiving surface or the gas. So airborne chemicals can travel long distance from their sources and can therefore affect ecosystem over broad regional scale and in location far from the source of emission. Therefore, acid deposition is a regional scale problem. Remember, acid deposition is a regional scale problem. Greenhouse gas is a global scale one. Formation of photochemical smoke is a local one. But due to the wind, okay, dry deposition depends on the turbulence of the atmosphere. So, and they are those acidic particles, that sulfate, nitrate, and they have low density. So, airborne chemicals can travel long distance from their source. They can travel long distance from their source. As example, we can say the Sapukaskanda oil refinery emits oxes and noxes. But acid rains will occur not only for the Sapukaskanda area, but also for the whole western province. And again, that it can be happen to the Indian Ocean, because airborne chemicals can travel long distances from their source and therefore affect the ecosystem over broad regional scale and location far from the sources of emission. Okay, so we have discussed these causes of acid rain. The principal causes of acid rains are the power generation sector, especially coal-fired power plants. So coal-fired power plants do a huge air pollution for the atmosphere. So it cannot be stopped because the thermal NOx, the formation of thermal NOx cannot be avoided if we reduce the sulfur content in the coal. So during the combustion process, sulfur and oxides of sulfur dioxide and oxide of nitrogen are removed. And natural sources are also available. Okay, so now all of you know when water vapor condenses, so as in the rainfalls, they dissolve in the water to form sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Then let's see the effects of acid deposition or acid rain. So acid deposition is harmful to aquatic life because it increases the acidity in water bodies. Okay, the pH is increased because of the acidity. Hatching of eggs stopped eggs of certain organism. Hatching is stopped. Then it changes the population ratio because of the stopping hatching of stop hatching of the fish eggs, because then change the population ratio. Because of that, it affects the whole ecosystem. We can say simply because of the increase of pH value, what happened? The eggs of small fish are not hatched. Because of that, they will be extincted. Those small fish can be extincted. Some species can be extincted. Because of that, biodiversity of water bodies reduce. Biodiversity is reduced. And when we talk about lake, rivers, those are very fragile ecosystem where each species depend on other to survive. If one disappears, other two disappears. So here you can see this is the realistic flow pattern. in a ecosystem really it is non-realistic one. That's why we call it as a food chain. So due to the aquatic plants are consumed by the consumer first consumer. Those are the predators. So their eggs may not be hatched. The small species eggs may not be hatched due to the acidity. Then because of that they can be extincted or they can be died. Because of that, what happened, these small fish minnow cannot find food for the survival. Then the whole ecosystem will be affected, and because of the change of biodiversity. Then acid deposition is harmful to the vegetation. When acid is deposited in wet form or dry form, it increases the acidity in soil. Because of that, nutrients are leaches, and it slow down the plant growth, and it leaches some toxic material from the soil and poison in the plants, create brown spot in leaves of trees, and impeding photosynthesis. The create brown spots in leaf means it can damage those acidity can damage the chlorophyll and the cells of the plant leaf. Then it reduce the photosynthesis rate, or it impede the photosynthesis and allow organism to infect through broken leaves. Then acid deposition affects to the archaeological monuments. It accelerates weathering in metal and stone structures. As example, the archaeological monuments in Athens, Greece, and Taj Mahal in India. And acid rain causes extensive damage to the building structural materials made from marble, limestone, such as in Greece and Italy, some invaluable stone statues have been partially dissolved by acid rain, and Taj Mahal in India also suffering due to acid fumes emitted from a nearby refinery. Taj Mahal is one of the wonder of I think one of the seventh wonder of the world getting deteriorated because of the emission of SOx's from a nearby oil refinery. Lies from around 40 kilometer. So now you can understand to make sulfur free fuel. The purpose is to make the sulfur free fuel. Because of that, sulfur free fuel is made because engine vehicles cannot operate with high amount of sulfur. Because of that, engines can be easily corroded and some problem can be um, can be generated within the vehicle engines. Because of that, the oil refineries remove the sulfur from the fuel. So it is an upstream process. It is an upstream process of sulfur removal. From this process also, air is polluted. But consider we are using fuel with sulfur. Then what happened? Again, during the combustion process, or during the combustion of fuel in the IC engine, SO2 is emitted. It is the emission of sulfur in the downstream process. So emission of sulfur cannot be avoided if we are using fossil fuel. The emission of sulfur or emission of SOx's cannot be avoided if we are using fossil fuel, because sulfur is available as an impurity. So if it is treated up in upstream or downstream, SOx's are emitted. So to avoid the emission of sulfur, to avoid the emission of SOx's or emission of formation of acid rain, the main solution is to stop the using of fossil fuel as an energy source. Then acid rains effects to the human health also. It causes respiratory problems, asthma, dry coughs, headaches, and throat irritation. And as technological students, I'm not going to ask those things in the those diseases in your exam. Just remember the it affects to the human health. Then preventive measures. Let's see the most important thing: preventive measures and controlling measures for the acid rain. So for that, we can reduce amount of sulfur dioxide and oxide of nitrogen released into the atmosphere. To avoid the or to prevent from the acid deposition, we have to prevent the emission of SO2 and NO2. For that, we have to use less energy. So if we want to use less energy, that means we have to burn less fuel. Then we can use cleaner fuels, and we can remove the sulfur oxide and nitrogen oxide before releasing into the atmosphere. So these are the three answers for the preventive measures. So when we talk about the useless energy, we can say individuals, as an individual, we can contribute directly by conserving energy. Okay? As an individual, we can do it by conserving energy. So how can we say? So how can we do that? So we can turn off light, computers, and other appliances when they are not using them. And we can use energy efficient appliances for lighting. We can use CF as well, LED bulb instead of CFL bulbs, or instead of tungsten bulb, we can use CFL bulbs. And we cannot avoid using air conditioners, then heaters for cool country. Then we can avoid to use refrigerators. Then washing machines, we can do it by ourselves. And we can use only electric appliances when we need them. Likewise, we can conserve energy. And for cool country, we can insulate our home as best we can by the closing the window. For a hot country, we can get natural ventilation by using natural methods. Then when we talk about the transportation, we can use carpool. We can we do not want to drive to the city using our own car. We can come from our home to a carpool, and then we park the car in the carpool, and then we can get the public transportation system and walk when we can, use bicycle whenever possible. But then buy vehicle with low NOx emissions and maintain all vehicles well, and we can well inform others to do that, and we can educate our parents, our siblings, and our friends to not to do that, and to conserve energy. Okay, and do you know about the brand called Subaru? The Subaru vehicles has low emission than to the other brands. So you know those days the Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, like this. There are many brand names, but the Subaru is not popular as Toyota in our country. But Subaru vehicles has low emission than the others. Then what do you know about electric vehicles such as Nissan Leaf, like that? Are they suitable? Are they good vehicles? You can think. You can think. So when we use, once we use the vehicle, it does not emit SOxes, NOxes, carbon dioxide, or whatever. It is a clean vehicle. It does not emit. But consider how it does not take any fuel, the Nissan Leaf. But we have to charge the battery using electricity. So then you can consider what is the process of electricity generation. The electricity is generated from the the coal-fired power plants. Then in the upstream process, SOxes are emitted, NOxes are emitted, carbon dioxide is emitted. Then, as a preventive measures, we can use cleaner fuels. So for that, we can use coal that contain less sulfur. And then instead of using